Hurricane Sam is still a major hurricane spinning in the Atlantic. Hello, I'm Mike Naso with this Monday afternoon update on the tropics. You can see we have a couple of features out there other than our dangerous major hurricane Sam. We have two areas of interest off Africa, which I'll talk about, which could do something. And we have the remnants of Peter, which are trying to come back, but if it does, it'll only be for a short time as a tropical depression. The main focus is on our dangerous Category 3 Hurricane Sam, which got to an upper edge Category 4 yesterday, almost a Category 5, and it's been weakening some, but is trying to regroup a little bit. We'll talk about Sam. Here's the beautiful visible satellite imagery of Hurricane Sam. Right as the sun starts to go down, you can see the eye definitely is trying to reorganize. It went through some inner core fluctuations. It's a small hurricane, but it's gotten a little bit larger. I'll show you that in a minute. But you could definitely see it's bubbling there as a very powerful major hurricane. Here's the latest on Sam as of 5 p.m. Atlantic time from the Hurricane Center. It was at 16.3 north, 52.7 west, winds of 120. Yesterday, it got up to 150. The Recon flew out there. We've been flying these P-3 aircraft. We have Kermit, we have Miss Piggy, we have Gonzo. And the aircraft got to it right after it appeared to peak out. So the odds are that it did not reach Category 5, but it came very, very close. It's moving northwest at 9 very slowly. Like we said a few days ago, it's going to make this northwest turn very slowly. It's going to round the ridge. There's enough troughiness moving off the eastern seaboard, and what's left of Peter for sure. There's just too much stuff to erode the ridging to allow Sam to slip out. However, if you are in the island of Bermuda, you are near the left edge of the cone sometime Friday night, early Saturday. So you will have high swells. I'll talk about that as well in a minute. But you want to keep an eye on Sam. But you can see the wind field has expanded. It went from being a very tiny hurricane to a slightly larger hurricane. And so if it does get too close to the island of Bermuda, the wind field's larger. You could see some impacts. But right now, the models agree that it's going to probably turn to the right of Bermuda. So we seem to have good agreement that Sam is going to remain out at sea. Now, Newfoundland later on, could you get hit by Sam? Absolutely. Absolutely you could get hit by Sam. And you guys already got impacted by Hurricane Larry just a couple of weeks ago. And that was a hurricane as it slammed into Newfoundland. So remember, even though it's literally off the map here, there are still land masses off to the north that could be impacted. But as far as Bermuda, keep an eye on it. But the northern islands, other than swells, you guys are getting away scot-free from a very dangerous, powerful major hurricane. Here's the true color visible as the sun goes down. Look at that beautiful shot there. You can see the sun going down. But it does appear that any kind of wind shear that it might have had 12 hours ago has abated, and it should intensify back into a Category 4, but not as high-end as it was yesterday. The key messages for Hurricane Sam: mainly large swells generated by Sam. They're affecting the Leeward Islands, and that will spread to the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, the Bahamas, and Bermuda by Thursday or Friday. And significant swells will likely reach the east coast of the United States and Atlantic Canada by the weekend. That could cause life-threatening surf and rip current conditions. Beachgoers should follow the advice of lifeguards and local officials throughout the weekend. So even if you're in Myrtle Beach or Cape Hatteras, and you think, oh, this hurricane's to the east of Bermuda, Sam's a big boy as far as intensity goes. Category 3-4 hurricane, you'll have swells propagating for days, and that could cause a lot of problems. Now, elsewhere in the Atlantic, we have a moderate chance, 60%, for the remnants of Peter, but that would move out to sea. But we have these two 80% high chances of development from these areas off Africa. We have a tropical wave down here to the southeast of Sam, and then we have one that just left Africa. Both of these should move west or west-northwest, and they could both develop. And the next names on the list are Victor and Wanda, and then we're out of names, and we're onto the alternative name list, the alternate name list that we have. So, you know, we're running out of names here, but you can definitely see a high chance for development. One of the systems is now an Invest 90L, the one right off Africa, but again, the models indicate that this will likely turn out to sea as well. It's getting later in the year. You get cold fronts draping off the East Coast. You ain't going to have no ridging building in for this thing to go to Miami or Key West. That was earlier in the year with Elsa and Fred and Grace. Remember Grace? Grace went right into Mexico. Ida. As we get later in the year, the ridges start to erode, and that saves us from hurricanes. However, we start to look towards the Caribbean, and we're going to watch this wave, the one to the south of Sam. You can see the one leaving Africa. I'm not impressed with any of this, but it's definitely a mess out there, and any kind of mess could propagate its way into the Caribbean and do something later on. So we're going to watch that very carefully. But that'll be the update right now in the tropics. Hurricane Sam, a dangerous major hurricane, the fourth major hurricane of the year after Grace, Ida, and Larry, and it is definitely a force to be reckoned with. The great thing about it is that it's out at sea, and other than high swells, if it takes a track like that, it should remain away from land, although Bermuda, and especially Newfoundland, will need to watch it. I'm Mike Nasel with the latest on Hurricane Sam, and I'll talk to you guys next time.